Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, Clive Myrie. In the spotlight tonight are Holly Parkinson, a PhD student. Her specialist subject is the physicist Stephen Hawking. Ishmael Silvestro, a student whose subject is the music of Radiohead. William Andrews, a software developer. He'll be answering questions on the silent film star Theda Bara. And Boaksy Boakes, a writer whose subject is the Richard Sharpe novels of Bernard Cornwell. Our four contenders are hoping to book their place in the semi-finals, but it's always the hope that gets you. The weeks, months, even years of preparation for this big moment will come to naught if they can't handle the pressure, the ticking clock, the spotlight and the embrace of the black chair. Still the demons, banish the nerves, and you will win. 2 minutes on their specialist subject and 2.5 minutes of general knowledge await. So, can I ask our first contender to join us, please? Your name?
Holly Parkinson.
Your occupation?
I'm a PhD student.
And your specialist subject?
Stephen Hawking.
Yes, the world-renowned theoretical physicist who published groundbreaking work on cosmology and black holes despite having motor neurone disease for more than 50 years. In 2 minutes, starting now. Stephen Hawking was born on the 8th of January 1942, exactly 300 years to the day, as he often noted, since the death of which other famous scientist?
Galileo.
Yes, in 1959, Hawking was accepted to read natural sciences at which Oxford College?
University College.
Yes, what four-word title did Hawking give to the doctoral thesis he submitted at Cambridge in 1966? A work that crashed the university website when it was made public more than 50 years later.
Properties of expanding universes?
Yes, the surname of which scientist is paired with that of Hawking in the name given to a formula relating to black hole entropy developed in the early 1970s, although Hawking initially disputed his findings.
Jacob Bekenstein?
Yes, in 1974, Hawking placed a bet with his friend Kip Thorne that which binary star system did not contain a black hole, but happily conceded defeat 16 years later.
Cygnus X1?
Yes, Hawking's first full-length book, The Large-Scale Structure of Space-Time, which he later described as highly technical and quite unreadable, was co-written with which colleague?
Dennis Sciamma?
No, George Ellis. Which hospital saved Hawking's life in 1985 when he was given a tracheotomy, although this meant that his already failing ability to speak was finally lost?
Geneva?
No, Addenbrooke's Hospital. Rather than signing with an academic publisher, Hawking chose what mainstream imprint to publish A Brief History of Time because of the access it provided to popular outlets such as airport shops.
Penguin?
No, Bantam Books. In 2009, Hawking relinquished what prestigious academic position at Cambridge that he'd held for the previous 30 years?
Lucasian Professor?
Yes, Hawking hosted a party in 2009 that no one attended because he only publicised it after the event, printing an invitation headed "A Reception for Whom?"
Time Travellers?
Yes, in 2012, Hawking made the first of 7 appearances in what American television sitcom? In an episode entitled The Hawking Excitation.
The Big Bang Theory?
Yes, following his death in 2018, Hawking's ashes were interred in what building close to the graves of Newton, Darwin and Rutherford?
Westminster Abbey?
Yes, what was the name, I've started so I'll finish, of the computer program that Hawking first used to synthesize his voice and continued with for around 20 years before a more sophisticated system was adopted?
Called Words Plus?
No, it was the equalizer.
Okay, sorry.
And Holly, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 9 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name?
Ishmael Silvestro.
Your occupation?
Student.
And your specialist subject?
The music of Radiohead.
The acclaimed rock band formed by friends who met at school in Abingdon in the mid-1980s. In 2 minutes, starting now. On signing for EMI in 1991, the band changed their name from On a Friday to Radiohead, taking the new name from the title of a song by which American band?
Talking Heads.
Yes, on a number of occasions, including an MTV appearance in August 1995, Radiohead have performed which James Bond theme song described by Tom York as the sexiest song ever written?
Live or Let Die.
No, nobody does it better. In August 1996, the band performed a series of concerts across the United States as the support act for which Canadian singer?
Tori Amos.
No, Alanis Morissette. Radiohead's 1992 single Creep was the subject of a legal case brought by the songwriters Mike Hazelwood and Albert Hammond, who claimed that it borrowed sections from which one of their songs?
The Air You Breathe by the Hollies.
The Air That I Breathe. No, I won't take that. When the band self-released the album In Rainbows in 2007, it was accompanied by the guidance Pay What You Want, although it was later made available as a physical product in the UK. On what independent label?
XL.
Yes. Which of their hit singles did Radiohead perform at the 1995 Smash Hits Poll Winners Party, where they were jokingly introduced by Andy Peters as the New Bucks Fizz?
Just.
No, My Iron Lung. The sixth track on OK Computer begins with the lines, Karma Police, arrest this man, he talks in maths, he buzzes like a what?
Fridge.
Yes, which British filmmaker directed the black and white video for the single Street Spirit Fade Out in what he described as a turning point in his work?
Paul Thomas Anderson.
No, Jonathan Glazer. The orchestral arrangements performed by the Orchestra of St. John's for the album Amnesiac were recorded in which Oxfordshire church dating back to the 12th century?
Oxford Cathedral.
No, Dorchester Abbey. When Radiohead appeared at the Tibetan Freedom Concert in Washington, D.C. in 1998, they were joined on stage by which American singer for a performance of their song Lucky?
Michael Stipe.
Yes, Radiohead received 3 Grammy nominations for which track on the album The King of Limbs?
Lotus Flower.
Yes, the early electronic keyboard instrument of Start It All Finish, which creates sounds similar to a theremin, played by Johnny Greenwood on the album Kid A, is commonly known by what French name?
Ondes Martineau.
Ondes Martineau it is. And Ishmael, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 6 points.
6.
And our next contender, please. Your name,
William Andrews.
your occupation,
Software developer.
and your specialist subjects.
Theda Bara.
The phenomenally successful star of the silent screen era and one of cinema's earliest sex symbols. In 2 minutes, starting now, Bara was born Theodosia Goodman in Cincinnati in 1885. What was her maternal grandfather's French surname, which she shortened to create her stage name?
Barringer.
Yes, early in her career, Bara played a French woman in a stage production of which musical, although her accent, one critic said, wouldn't have fooled a 5-year-old?
The Devil.
No, the Quaker Girl. Which Shakespearean heroine did Bara portray in a 1916 film directed by J. Gordon Edwards?
Juliet.
Yes. What was the name of the yacht on which the crew of Bara's breakthrough film A Fool There Was were detained by the British Navy in the early days of the First World War because it was German-owned?
Fandy.
No, the Essen. Bara's early films were promoted with far-fetched stories about her supposedly exotic lifestyle and origins, usually concocted by John Goldfrapp and which other publicist?
Al Selig.
Yes, in 1917, Bara conducted her own historical research at the Metropolitan Museum in New York before heading to California to shoot which film in which she played the title role?
Cleopatra.
Yes, Bara made her name as a vamp, a woman who has a destructive effect on men. But after she insisted on other roles, she was cast as a more conventional female lead, the gentle, innocent young heroine Henriette, in which 1915 film?
The Two Orphans.
Yes, the story for the 1918 film The She-Devil was written by which of Bara's close friends, a dress designer who, in the 1950s and 60s, won 4 Oscars for set decoration?
George Hopkins.
Yes. What 1919 film was slated by Irish Americans for its depiction of poverty in Ireland and led to riots in a number of cinemas?
Kathleen Mavourneen.
Yes. Bara's final film, the 1925 short Madam Mystery, was co-directed by Richard Wallace and which celebrated comedy actor?
Stan Laurel.
Yes. 8 years after her last film, Bara made her final professional stage appearance for the Beverly Hills Little Theatre in the title role of which play written by James Fagan?
The Red Devil.
No, Belladonna. When Bara moved out of her home on West Adams Boulevard, Los Angeles, which other early film star acquired the house?
Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle.
Yes, shortly before her death in 1955, Bara sold the rights to her life story, I've started to all finish, for a film provisionally entitled The Great Vampire that was never made, with which actress earmarked for the leading role?
Betty Hutton.
It was Betty Hutton. And William, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 10 points.
Thank you.
And our final contender, please. And your name?
Boaksy Boakes.
And your occupation?
Writer.
And your specialist subjects?
The Richard Sharpe novels of Bernard Cornwell.
The long-running series of novels published since 1981 about a roguish hero of the Napoleonic Wars. In 2 minutes, starting now. Sharpe's Eagle, the first novel in the series to be published, culminates in which battle of the Peninsular War that was fought in Spain on the 28th of June, 1809?
Battle of Talavera.
Yes, Richard Sharpe is an officer in the 95th Rifles, later attached to the South Essex Regiment, who, during the events of Sharpe's Eagle, is promoted to what rank?
Captain.
Yes, Patrick Harper, Sharpe's close friend who fights alongside him in several battles, comes from which county in Ireland?
Donegal.
Yes, what are the first 2 words inscribed on the telescope that Sharpe had received from Arthur Wellesley in September 1803, and which is stolen from his pack in Sharpe's company?
Ingratitude.
Yes, in Sharpe's escape, Sharpe discovers that Major Ferreira, a Portuguese officer, has been hiding sacks of what commodity in a religious shrine and selling it to the French?
Flour.
Yes, in Sharpe's enemy, in the early hours of Christmas morning in the Spanish town of Adrados, Sharpe had thought of England when he heard what carol being sung by a sentry?
Oh, little town of Bethlehem.
No, hark the herald angels sing. Which British officer, the adjutant general and Wellington's brother-in-law, presides over the court-martial in Sharpe's honour, at which Sharpe is charged with murder?
Henry Wellesley.
No, Edward Pakenham. In Sharpe's Siege, one of the few books in the series not based on actual events, Sharpe's men blind their French attackers with quicklime, which had been made by burning the shells of which creatures?
Oysters.
Yes, in Sharpe's company, Sharpe is blamed by his commander, Colonel Wyndham, for enabling the theft of a small portrait of his wife, which is described as showing a woman with an expression of terrifying what?
Beauty.
No, disapproval. In Sharpe's Havoc, Sharpe meets his fellow officer, Lieutenant Colonel Waters, while reconnoitering a seminary in Portugal on the bank of which river?
The Douro.
Yes, in Sharpe's Rifles, when the aristocratic Spanish officer Don Blas Vivar is asked by Sharpe what's in the strongbox that he's carrying, he replies, just what?
Papers.
Yes, in Sharpe's Fury, what's the name of Brigadier General Moon's French counterpart, a colonel who claims that there is only one rule in warfare, and that is to win?
Colonel Lafayette?
No, Colonel Henri Vandal. And Boaksy, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 8 points.
Thank you.
And at the end of the specialist subjects round, let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place with 6 points, it's Ishmael. In 3rd place with 8 points, Boaksy. In 2nd place with 9 points, it's Holly. And in 1st place with 10 points sits William. So now the general knowledge round, and if there's a tie at the end, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, it's a tie break. So let's ask Ishmael to join us again, please. Ishmael, you start with 6 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge, starting now. In a common expression, doing something in order to harm someone, even though it will disadvantage yourself, is to cut off your nose to spite your what?
Face.
Yes, a type of market usually held outdoors where old or used items are sold cheaply is named after what jumping insect that feeds on blood?
Flea market.
Yes. What's the surname of the former UK Prime Minister who was born in Edinburgh in 1953 and given the forenames Anthony Charles Linton?
Heath.
No, Blair. Traditionally, the Pope delivers an annual Easter address from a balcony overlooking which public square in the Vatican?
St. Peter's Square.
Yes. What's the first name of the chart-topping American singer whose other names are Eilish, Pirate, Baird, O'Connell?
Billy.
Yes, the medical complaint known as a Baker's cyst is caused by a buildup of fluid that most commonly occurs in which joint of the human body?
The knee.
Yes, the parson, the shipman and the manciple are among the characters who tell stories in what 14th century English literary work?
Canterbury Tales.
Yes, what 1976 film, directed by Martin Scorsese, has the tagline, "On every street, in every city, in this country, there is a nobody who dreams of being a somebody"?
The Godfather.
No, taxi driver. The mathematical symbol used to denote the word therefore consists of how many dots?
3.
Yes. Which Secretary General of the United Nations was killed when his plane crashed in what is now Zambia in 1961?
Buttress Ghali.
No, Dag Hammarskjöld. In May 2022, the Scottish-Rwandan actor Shuti Gatwa was announced as the latest incarnation of the main character in what long-running science fiction television series?
Doctor Who.
Yes, Georgetown is the capital of which South American country that gained independence from Britain in 1966?
Jamaica.
No, Guyana, the name of which former prison in Southwark in London has come to be used as a slang term for any jail?
Bedlam.
No, the Clink, which Spanish football manager succeeded Manuel Pellegrini as manager of Manchester City in 2016?
Pass.
Which author, whose novels include Berger's Daughter and July's People, was a prominent critic of apartheid in South Africa and won the 1991 Nobel Prize in Literature?
Sophia Loren.
No, Nadine Gordimer. And Ishmael, you just had the one pass. Pep Guardiola, manager of Manchester City, succeeding Manuel Pellegrini. And at the end of that round, Ishmael, you now have a total of 14 points. And next up, it's Boxy. So, Boxy, you start with 8 points. The score to beat as it stands is 14 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now. What word for the young of a cat is used in the name of a style of slightly curved, short stiletto heel on a shoe?
Kitten.
Yes. What word for a sugar confection is a duplication of the French for good?
Bonbon.
Yes. What name is given to the ancient practice in which scientists attempted to turn base metals into gold?
Alchemy.
Yes, Madonna's first UK #1 single, Into the Groove, is part of the soundtrack of what 1985 film in which she plays the title character?
Pass.
The 2021 novel Harlem Shuffle, set in 1960s New York, was written by which dual Pulitzer Prize-winning American author?
Pass.
What's the common name for the imaginary line on the surface of the Earth, established in 1884 and sometimes called the line of demarcation that defines the time boundary between one day and the next?
Pass.
Excluding added time, a conventional 15-a-side rugby union match is played over how many minutes?
80.
Yes. What 1894 play by George Bernard Shaw is set during the Serbo-Bulgarian War, which had been fought during the previous decade?
Pygmalion.
No, Arms and the Man, the Rolling Stones song that begins, "Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste," is entitled Sympathy for the what?
Dead.
No, Devil. Which French artist painted The Dance, a large early 20th century work in the collection of the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, depicting 5 nude figures holding hands to form a circle?
Toulouse-Lautrec.
No, Henri Matisse. The final episode of what medical television drama series was broadcast in March 2022 after running for 23 years on the BBC?
Holby City.
Yes, the University of East Anglia has its campus on the outskirts of which English city?
Norwich.
Yes, Advocat is a liqueur consisting primarily of egg yolks and what spirit?
Vodka.
No, brandy. In parliamentary and local elections in mainland Britain, what title is given to the official who supervises the vote count and announces the result?
The returning officer.
Yes, what name from Breton words meaning long stone is given to a megalithic monument found in parts of Britain and France and dating back to the Stone or Bronze Age?
Ken.
No, it was Men Here. And Boxy, you had 3 passes. The common name for the imaginary line on the surface of the Earth, sometimes called the line of demarcation. It's the international date line. Yes, you knew it.
Yeah.
The 2021 novel Harlem Shuffle, set in 1960s New York, was written by the dual Pulitzer Prize-winning author Colson Whitehead. And Desperately Seeking Susan is the film in which Madonna plays the title character. And at the end of that round, Boxy, you've got 15 points.
Oh, thank you.
And next up, it's Holly. So, Holly, you start with 9 points. The score to beat as it stands is 15 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge, starting now. The name of which metric unit of length is commonly abbreviated to the letters km?
Kilometre.
Yes. Which crumbly white cheese is traditionally an ingredient in a classic Greek salad?
Feta.
Yes. What's the title of the 2007 comedy film about two terminally ill patients, played by Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman, who escape from the hospital in order to fulfill their lifetime ambitions before they die?
Prison Break.
No, The Bucket List. The 2022 novel Run, Rose, Run was co-written by James Patterson and which American country music star?
Dolly Parton.
Yes. What alternative word for a stag, especially a red deer stag aged 5 years or older, commonly appears as part of a pub name, in which case it's usually described as white?
Heart.
Yes. What was the first name of the daughter of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, a former Prime Minister of Pakistan, who herself served 2 terms in the same role in the 1980s and 90s?
Benazir Bhutto.
Yes. What flat-top geographical feature in South Africa is known in Afrikaans as Tafelberg?
Table Mountain.
Yes. In 2016, which cricketer succeeded Charlotte Edwards as captain of the England women's team?
Pass, sorry.
Which day of the week is known in Spanish as miércoles?
Wednesday.
Yes, the period of geological time that began around 540 million years ago and was the first part of the Paleozoic era is given what name from the Latin word for whales?
Mesozoic.
No, Cambrian period. In 1985, which British computing pioneer and entrepreneur launched the C5, an electrically powered 3-wheel pedal car?
Pass, sorry.
Which bird is described as pretty in the title of the 1966 UK #1 single by Manfred Mann?
Flamingo.
Yes. Which Bristol-born comedian and actor co-created and starred in the television comedy series The Outlaws, first broadcast in 2021?
James Corden.
No, Stephen Merchant. Which queen who reigned from 1702 to 1714 was the last monarch of the Royal House of Stuart?
Mary.
No, Queen Anne. Which French term, which translates as foot on the ground, is used in English for a flat, house or other accommodation kept for occasional use?
Chalet.
No, pied-à-terre. Part of which composer's Piano Concerto No. 1 was played at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, when gold medals were won by athletes representing the Russian Olympic Committee?
Tchaikovsky.
Yes, the mineral sepiolite, a light-coloured clay-like substance that's used mainly to make tobacco pipes, is better known by what name of German origin?
Clay.
No, meerschaum.
Okay.
Holly, you had 2 passes. Sir Clive Sinclair was the British computing pioneer and entrepreneur who launched the C5. And in 2016, the cricketer who succeeded Charlotte Edwards as captain of the England women's team, Heather Knight. And at the end of that round, Holly, you now have a total of 18 points.
Thank you.
And finally, it's William's turn. So, William, you start with 10 points, the score to beat to get through to the semi-finals is Holly's 18 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge, starting now. In boxing, the abbreviation KO is used to indicate what ending to a fight?
Knockouts.
Yes. What medical condition which causes the level of glucose in the blood to become too high has 2 main types, known as type 1 and type 2?
Diabetes.
Yes, in television and film comedy, Jackie Coogan, Christopher Lloyd and Nick Kroll have all played the same member of the Addams family, Uncle Who?
Vesta.
Yes, what Latin term for ancient Persian priests is often used to refer to the wise men who brought gifts to the infant Jesus Christ?
Magi.
Yes, according to data released by the Office for National Statistics in October 2021, what was the most popular baby name for girls born in England and Wales in 2020 for the 5th year in a row?
Olivia.
Yes, the 2022 television miniseries starring Eddie Marsan as the real-life fraudster John Darwin is entitled The Thief, His Wife and the what?
Canoe.
Yes, what's the name of the main waterway through Venice which is spanned by the Rialto Bridge?
Po.
No, the Grand Canal, the name of which Greek letter, the 9th in the alphabet, is used in English as a term for a very small amount of something.
Theta.
No, iota. What small red fruit is used to make the sauce traditionally served with roast turkey at Christmas in the UK?
Cranberry.
Yes, Cyril, Anthea, Robert, Jane, the Lamb and the Samiad, also known as a sand fairy, first appear in what 1902 novel by E. Nesbit?
5 Children Knit.
Yes, the plural word swine is a term for which animals?
Pigs.
Yes, which American singer collaborated with Diana Ross on the 1981 hit single Endless Love and reached #2 in the UK in 1983 with All Night Long?
Lionel Richie.
Yes, the politician Engelbert Dollfuss, who was killed by Nazis in July 1934, had been the Chancellor of which European country?
Austria.
Yes, in computing, the name of what specific body part is used to refer to a miniature reproduction of an image or page that's often used as a link to an electronic document or web page?
Thumbnail.
Yes, the Middlesbrough Transporter Bridge, which opened in 1911 and carries vehicles back and forth in a suspended gondola, spans which river?
Tees.
Yes, which British actress won a BAFTA in 2022 for her performance in the film After Love, about a widow named Mary Hussein who discovers her late husband's secret family?
Olivia Colman.
No, Joanna Scanlon. What's the usual term in golf for a score of 1 over par at a particular hole?
Bogey.
Yes, what musical note is known in the United States as a double hole note?
F.
No, Breathe, the house and museum where it's claimed. In the 17th century, I've studied so I'll finish. A Huguenot baker known as Sally Lunn created a tea cake that now bears her name. Is in which English city?
Lancaster.
No, it was Bath. And William, you had no passes. And at the end of that round, you've done it. You've got 24 points.
Thank you.
So let's have a look at all the final scores. In 4th place with 14 points, it's Ishmael. In 3rd place with 15 points, it's Boxy. In 2nd place with 18 points sits Holly, and in 1st place with 24 points, it's William, which means he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. If you would like to be a contender in the next series, please go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us, of course, at Mastermind Quiz. Join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
I was definitely quite nervous. It's certainly quite different getting into that chair, being there with Clive facing you. I originally applied to Mastermind because talking to my grandmother, she's very interested in quizzing, that kind of thing. She's very sharp and she always wanted me to apply. So yeah, I just thought I'd give it a shot, really.
You've done it. You've got 24 points.
Thank you. Well, grandmother knows best.